Welcome everyone to the Pantheon. I am Ray,
And I'm Evie.
and today we're looking at the 1968 film Wrecking Crew, starring Dean Martin and Elk Summers. Evie, you had a chance to see this. This is what we refer to as the Matt Helm series, which is sort of
Right.
like an American spoof on James Brown. Almost said James Brown, James
Hmm.
Bond. Um, so this would be the last installment for various reasons, and I'll get into that near the end of our review. But what do you think of this particular movie?
It was all very, I don't know, just not pro women, but back in the 60s, the women kind of made the women feel like things not important.
Hmm.
They were dancing and doing whatever, it wasn't very, not not very women centric, but the cars were like very old too. The women didn't know how to drive, and the men knew how to drive. Very anti-women. It's like the women were just playthings. So it was okay, but not very women centric. What did
No,
you think?
I agree. Yeah, I totally overlooked that, but you're right. Because it's the '60s, because it was more to the underlying theme of parodying, I guess, the Sean Connery James Bond, where
Yeah.
women were the um, because the way Sean Connery treated women was a little I guess he says questionable. Also, it was very chauvinistic.
Yeah, that's it.
It's also Dean Martin, who plays Matt Helm, the lead character. This is based on Donald Hamilton's series of books, the Matt Helm series. So
Hmm.
he's basically a secret agent who's come out of retirement, and the government needs him to do some kind of
Stuff.
job. In this case, he's coming into look. There's a train that got hijacked. Of $1 billion of gold bullion was stolen,
Yeah.
and his job is to try and locate who stole it and try and recover the stolen money
Hmm.
or stolen gold
Yeah.
bullion. Yeah, this is very chauvinistic. You have an extraordinarily female cast. Some are very strong characters, and some are not so strong. But you're right, because like James Bond, and because it's a parody, and Dean Martin is a kind of woman, is a very much a womanizer. He's playing on that. He's very
Hmm.
sexist. This was overly sexist and male chauvinistic. So from looking at this now, yes, it's painfully obvious the undertones that's very misogynistic and really much sexist. So yeah, it would this kind of movie would not do well in today's market. It is a dinosaur in many respects and an old way of thinking. It's not even
Right.
chivalrous. It's not even So yes, in that sense, it's a very negative movie. But in terms of looking at it as being a parody, a homage to James Bond, or something to rival that, because I think it was more competitive. Because this came out in '68, so this is at the height of the Cold War espionage time. So you have James Bond, you have Nick Fury in the comic books, and on television you have The Man from Uncle. So these were the shows that were in motion, playing like live, like playing weekly or in syndicate. Not even in syndication yet. So week to week you had The Man from Uncle. Every month you have Nick Fury. Yeah, they have 4 James Bond movies in theaters since Doctor No.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Okay.
you've had a lot of like spy espionage films. So this was capitalizing on that theme. So it was an interesting time. For you, like there was some, I don't know, did you know this that Tina Louise from Gilligan's Island was in this movie?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I
Uh,
was, you know what? Actually, I didn't. I was
mhm.
saying that looks like her, but then I was going, no, that's not her. But yeah, wow.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. She played Lola Medina.
Yeah.
The funny thing about that one is her exit was it foreshadows the main female headsman's exit as well, which was totally bananas. Her film exit was mid-sentence, and it was something I did not expect going into this movie. Speaking
Right.
of this film, did you know anything about this movie before seeing it? Like, were you aware of
No,
this film, the story, or anything about this?
no, I didn't actually.
Yeah. As I was watching this film, it dawned on me what this movie represents in terms of film film history, and I'll get into that, or film culture today, and
Okay.
I'll get into that soon. But overall, what were your overall thoughts of this film? Besides, of course, it being dated because of what it does.
Okay. It was okay. Some of it was silly. Yeah, it was kind of a slow movie. I was surprised about all the train scenes and stuff like that, um, which was okay. I'm trying to be fast
Mm-hmm.
regardless. It was seen as slow by me. Yeah, it was okay, but I wouldn't see it again.
Have you seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Tarantino
Yeah,
movie?
yep.
This is what this movie is about.
Oh,
So
okay. I didn't
you
know
know
that.
the scene where Margot Robbie's character Sharon Tate is watching the film
Yep.
in the theater.
Yeah.
That this is the movie,
Really? Wow. Huh.
right? And
Wow.
she plays Sharon Tate, right?
Mm.
So she's watching herself in the film, and so this was Sharon Tate's last film before she
Mm.
passed away
Oh, wow. Okay.
from the Charles Manson family attack.
Hmm. Oh, wow.
So to give you some background on this, so this was when so 6 months after its release, Sharon Tate passed away, right?
Okay.
Dean Martin was very close friends with her. He got her the job, or helped influence her to get her job on this film.
Oh,
And
wow.
learning about her passing and how gruesome it was, he was disheartened because of doing any more films, especially with her gone.
Mhm.
They were already 6 months into pre-production for the next movie, Ravagers. They even promoted it at the end of the closing credits of this film. Ravagers was never made. It was never completed because Dean lost heart because of what happened to Sharon. It
Oh,
totally distraughted him. So this was the last one. There was Ravagers was set to be in theaters. I think in 8 to 10 months later, but
mm.
he couldn't do it. It was too hard for him.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Okay.
you know, and so going to talking about the Tarantino Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So, in the movie you have Bruce Lee. You had the whole controversy with that.
Yeah.
Where Bruce Lee was the martial arts advisor on set. All the fighting techniques, all the fighting combat stuff, or flips or whatever, he was on site helping do the training, and he worked closely with Sharon Tate with her fight scene with Nancy Kwan
Mm.
in one of the highlight scenes.
Wow. Okay.
So he was very instrumental, which is why you see him in that movie in that. So there's a lot of background information. So in terms of how that lines up in terms of time frame, Tarantino really locked into that film and how it was made to coincide with his movie.
Okay. Cool.
So would you recommend this film?
Um, if you had nothing to, I wouldn't go to somebody and say, "Boy, you gotta watch it."
Mhm.
It's good. It was pretty good. Just for a laugh. I thought.
Mhm.
How about you?
But you're right. When you mention the idea of it being very, very sexist and it's very dated, it wouldn't fly now. Some of the stories, it's a little late. It's a little prodding in terms of story. The idea of the gold bullion, it really takes a back seat to being a vehicle to whatever Dean Martin wants. And so, like in the beginning, when you see the train robbery, because he has all those cameras, he's watching this from multiple cameras.
Yeah.
It really reminded me of Trial of the Incredible Hulk with Kingpin, when he had all those monitors watching the crime
Okay.
taking place. Uh,
Right.
right. If you want something from the 80s, if you want something a little bit more 90s, because
Mhm.
I was also thinking maybe Tango and Cash. The character, the main villain, that one was watching Tango and Cash through multiple
Mhm.
cameras. Like the Kingpin, like a crime lord, observing every single possible angle while conducting the time. But at the time, during the 60s and 70s, the Wrecking Crew was a jazz band. It was like LA-based jazz band with members would come and go, and they would work on work with various artists like Paul McCartney, with Frank Sinatra, and
Right.
they helped contribute, I think, to 40 or 50 top one albums
Oh,
back
wow.
then.
Cool. Cool.
And so they were like a big band, like they do musical backgrounds, soundtracks for films.
Mm.
So they were like the band for hire, kind of like the Roots back then.
Okay.
So think
Yeah.
of them as the Roots. They were like everywhere, but like they were also very
Okay.
versatile, but mostly for jazz.
Mm.
And so Phil Spector, The Wall of Sound, they
Yeah.
contributed to that that whole his
Wow.
perform is that art to getting there. So it's a very instrumental time. So for those who are contemporary, think of the Roots, and that's what the record crew were back in the 60s and 70s. They were the
Oh,
Roots
cool.
of that time, but they were working with the Rat Pack, they were working with McCarthy, they were working with Nancy Sinatra, they were working with a bunch of major artists back then.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say I liked it, but would I recommend it? Somebody who is a fan of 60s stuff, a fan of like parodies or James Bond, this would be someone. This is something I would recommend for someone who likes that kind of stuff. You know.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So
Cool.
it's an alternative to the Rat Pack kind of
Okay.
stuff. All right.
Sounds
Well,
good.
with that, Evie, any last words before we go?
It was a pretty good movie for a 60s movie, you know. Yeah, kind of almost like a parody and stuff. So, you know, it was okay. Yeah,
Okay.
awesome.
So with that, Evie, thank you, and we will see you on Friday. Take care.
Take care.